Frank J. Avella with the Contending. I'm here with the amazing Carrie Preston, star of the hit CBS series Elsbeth. Welcome back, Carrie.
Thank you. It's good to be here again.
Carrie, the last time we spoke, Elsbeth was like just sort of a hope closing in on becoming a reality. And now, 2 years later, we've got season three renewal. Can you speak a little bit about what the solo Elsbeth experience has been like for you?
I mean, not like anything I've ever done before. I've been happily supporting, and being on shows that I love and being there to, uplift the whole cast and do whatever I can to support the main players. And now, this is a show called Elsbeth, and I play Elsbeth, so it definitely has a different experience for me, but it is a dream come true, to be able to be um, trusted with this character for this long. And I go out of my way to make sure that everyone feels welcome because I know what it feels like to be a guest. I know what it feels like to be a supporting player, and I want to make sure that everybody has the best time that they can have on the short amount of time they're with us. And I know John Tolan's our showrunner, does the same thing. So I feel proud that we've got a set that is so welcoming. That's the number one thing. And then, just the stamina that it takes to sustain this schedule and this amount of material, doing 8 or 9 day episodes, learning 50 pages of dialogue, doing 7 page monologues, 5 page monologues, that kind of thing where I sum up a whole crime. Sometimes I have to do that before I've even met the whoever's playing the murderer because of the scheduling, So it's hi, nice to meet you, Mary Louise Parker. I'm going to do your entire crime in one, monologue. And it's so that the logistics of the challenge of that is thrilling.
Mm.
And just finding a rhythm and figuring out how to do that every week is something that I feel like I've been working my whole life for.
Wow. Well, it shows. Elspeth has a line in one of the episodes. The truth always matters. Without it, we're lost.
Yes.
And for me, that's kind of a defining line for our time.
Yes, and that was definitely a deliberate way to address the times without making the show's not political. We're not trying to to dive into politics, but we're also not trying to ignore what's happening in the world today.
Yeah.
So it is, John Tolan's is very aware of making sure that Elsbeth is her positive self, but also she's smart enough to know that she's up against some Sisyphean tasks trying to bring to justice some people who have a lot of power who are oftentimes untouchable.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the season, talk about lines again in the season finale. Um, she talks about being in a dark place and how it's weird to show it. And I mean, that just gave me chills because, that's
Yeah.
everything you need to know about her.
It's everything. It's everything. And it's why I love playing her. It takes discipline to be positive. It takes discipline to want to get up when you've been knocked down. It takes discipline to be present and receive sometimes very unpleasant things, and to let emotions happen to you, to be brave enough to move to a new city, start a whole new career at, when you're in your late 50s. Little people don't generally do that, and
Yeah.
so there's something so courageous about her and able to recognize and say out loud, yeah, it's okay to have these dark feelings. I don't usually show it, but I can't not show it right now. And just like how kind of revolutionary that is, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, because we learn to kind of cover it. Uh, and what I another thing I love so much about her is that ever positiveness. But again, she's going through her own I don't know, I wouldn't go so far as to say a heart of darkness, but something similar. But even in jail, she's looking at the positives.
Hmm. She is. She is. As soon as, she got really knocked down by this judge, played by my real life husband. Um, but she got really knocked down by it because she had the evidence to put him away, and he had the power to erase that. And it really shook her sense of justice, but she in the legal system. But she said, to Delia, who murdered him, the first thing she says is, "We would have gotten him.
Yeah.
We would have gotten him," because she feels so sure that truth and justice and the legal system will prevail because she's been on the other side. She's gotten people like him who she used to represent, she's gotten them off. So she understands how to play the system, but she's trying to atone for many wrongs in her past. And I just love that as like her super mission. And as soon as she gets back in jail, she's been knocked down, completely stripped down. She says that line, like you said, I'm I'm in a dark place. And I'm not used to that. I'm not used to showing it. As soon as she sees that there's been a murder and she's back on her mission, which is to try to solve those things, then she gets her mojo back. And it's just so beautiful. And then, it manifests itself in a musical number. I mean, I just can't believe I get to be on television, network television show that can go from, an assassination and 3 episodes later, a musical number. I mean, what a rare and wonderful gift to be able to be a part of that.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that musical number in a second, but first you mentioned New York, her moving to New York. And New York City is such an important character in
Mm-hmm.
Elsbeth. And I wanted you to speak a little bit about your own personal experience with the city, which is my favorite city in the world.
Mine too. And, it wasn't when I was growing up. I didn't have any dream to live there. As a matter of fact, the first time I visited New York, I thought, how do people live like this? I never want to live here. I was just overwhelmed with the amount of people and, how dirty it was and the seedy side of it. And it was, now this was a long time ago. So, and when I moved to New York in 1990, I went there to go to school. So I was going to school at Lincoln Center. I went to Juilliard, and there I was, and we were living in these dorms. Uh, well, actually, they were building the dorms, and they put us up in the 63rd Street Y,
Oh,
and that was an eye-opening experience. To be
yeah.
living there with all kinds of people, very eccentric, sharing bathrooms. It was like a real crush of humanity. And, the smell of urine wafting into the windows. And then I go across the street and I'm working on Shakespeare. So it was just this weird dichotomy. But then I grew to really appreciate um, the culture, the mix up of all different types of people. Like when you go to LA, it's very much about the business. In New York, it's just about humanity coexisting. And um, I just fell in love with it. And then I became a New Yorker. So I wasn't looking up, I wasn't looking up and out, but playing Elsbeth, she's always looking up and out. And it's
Yeah.
infectious, in the
Yeah.
pilot, we're on the top of this double decker bus driving through New York. I'm seeing it through her eyes, and we're up high, and I'm taking in this stunning city and appreciating it in the same way that she does. And it's infectious. And so I am grateful for playing this part because it's making me appreciate where I live a lot more.
I love it. And you know what you are also doing is you're allowing others who don't live in New York, who see New York as some kind of place where deviants go, that that's not the case. New York is
No,
really about everybody.
yeah, yeah. I like it that we're sort of the postcard version of the city. You know, we're not the like the gritty, 1970s film version of the we're a glossy, colorful, beautiful side of New York, which coexists,
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of New York, the New York actors that you've had to guest on the show. Oh my God,
Yes.
from Laura Benanti to the great
Yeah.
Linda Lavin,
Oh,
uh,
yes.
Jane Krakowski, Vanessa Williams. I mean, just so many. I don't even know what the question is there. I can't ask you
Yeah.
who's the biggest diva. No, I'm kidding. Uh, no, but that's got
No
to be a
divas.
joy.
No divas. Yeah, everybody who's come on has been ready and game, excited to play with us. And that speaks to the writing. John Tolan's and our writers, they're creating these really fun characters. These actors get to come on for this short amount of time in the tradition of Columbo or Murder She Wrote, The Love Boat, all these shows where you would get the big stars of the day to come in and show a color that maybe they don't usually get to show, and the delicious one-on-one cat and mouse scenes that existed in Columbo we have here. I get to have these great showdowns, and have these long theater-like scenes. I mean, John is a playwright, originally, and he still is, and so he understands the theatricality of these showdowns and gives delicious dialogue to me and to this other player, and then we get to get in that sandbox and see what happens. And it's been incredible that they want to come and do this. They don't have to come do a guest spot on CBS. They've got plenty of things to do, but it's become this fun kind of feather in people's caps, I think, and that they want to do it. And well, Gina Gershon came. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Nathan Lane did it. Sure, I'm there. And I've heard that the word has gotten out from these people. Yeah, it's a great set. You'll have a good time. You'll be treated well. You're gonna love working with these actors and these directors and writers, and you know, just have a little romp, and then you can go back to your busy career.
And then you got so many of them to come back for the season finale, which the Suspect Tango.
Yes,
Oh my God, it was so much fun. And Stephen Moyer too.
and
Your
Stephen
true blood.
Moyer. Yes, and after we did the pilot, Stephen and I were dreaming up and pitching to the producers and everybody. You got to let Elsbeth go visit him in jail. Little did we know it was going to be to solve his murder. But we were happy nonetheless, no matter no, even though his character had to be the victim. They did it. John wrote that in such a beautiful and fun way, and we thought we were trying to get 4 guest stars to come back. We got 8.
Mm.
So again, that speaks to people's desire to come and participate and play and revisit us, and then Stephen wasn't even supposed to be in the musical number, but he was working on another show, and we could only get him for a few days. But then when he saw the schedule, he happened to uh, see that he had that day off from his other show when we were doing the musical number, and he called John Tolan and said, "Why don't you let me be like the MC and come in and intro the thing? Because I really want to be a part of that number." So we put him in there, and it was delicious.
Gosh, yeah, no, it was. I wanna ask you about Ben Levi Ross, who I think is absolutely fantastic. He plays your son Teddy. The two of you together. are so great. Such an authentic mother and son. And so many of us really appreciate how accepting Elsbeth is of her gay son.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I love that there were all these tropes that John could have gone down with the writers, let's have him be the complete opposite of Elsbeth. We could do that. Or let's just lean in and make him the quirky, even quirkier than Elsbeth, or let's have them have this big conflict. And instead, they chose to continue what they've built with Elsbeth, which is this love, this acceptance of everything. And that the joke is that, she gets excited when her son wants to draw boundaries.
Yeah.
We're doing boundaries. It's like, oh, great. This is a fun thing to try, and then also giving her, some tough love. At some point, she says to him, come on, it's time for you to grow up. You got to stop blaming me and your dad. You
Yeah.
know, you're here now. You're a man. You're grown up. Make some decisions. And that was refreshing in a loving way. She did this, but nonetheless, that we have a relationship where that can happen as well. It's not Pollyanna-ish.
Yeah.
It's P flag on the best day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's grounded in this realism. That's what I go back and forth on whether Elsbeth is a comedy or a drama. I mean, it
Yeah,
is so funny, but there are also these real dramatic moments. And now we're at Emmy time, and
yeah.
it's like what to do with Elsbeth. There should be another category.
I know there really should. There really should. I mean, I personally, I feel we were miscategorized. I think we should be a comedy that
Yeah.
has dramatic elements, but unfortunately, I was not a part of that conversation. So, I knew as soon as I heard, oh, they're putting us in the drama category, that weren't going to be able to compete with the dramas,
Yeah.
because of the writing is just lighter, and it has these very poignant dramatic moments, and I love that. But it's not Handmaid's Tale, like
Yeah.
that's a deep, deep drama. So I feel proud, though, that we're able to hold both of those things. I personally think that's more challenging
Yeah.
to for actors and writers in a show to do, to find that balance. So, I'm extremely proud of it, and I stand by the work that we're all doing. And also having been in now this leading role in a network show where you're doing 20 episodes, um, and you're having to create and keep fresh all of those moments, from the darkest to the dark to the lightest to the light, episode after episode after episode. I've found that, I feel like Ellen Pompeo needs the Emmy. She's been doing this for how long?
Yeah. Yeah. And been amazing at it. Oh,
Amazing at it,
yeah.
episode after episode after episode,
Yeah.
and I don't think she's ever been nominated, has she?
She hasn't. It's crazy.
So, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that these are the people that I'm thinking twice about, I mean, I know Mariska got one very early on, but then everybody just takes it for granted, like what she's able to do from episode to episode.
Yeah.
And so when I think about Emmys and that kind of thing, I always try to think about the whole, like, it's not just about a sensational streamer that becomes like the industry darling. To me, it's like, okay, but what about these actors who've been doing this for decades? Let's get behind them.
I think that's really generous. And if anybody's listening next year, Elsbeth comedy category people, powers that be,
I
please,
don't
because
know if you can like switch wholesale in the middle, but
That's
Who knows?
an interesting question, actually.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you though? They've switched limited series and drama series
Yeah.
sometimes, you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
if
I
it's
don't know.
possible, folks.
I know, I know. I mean, for sure, I'm grateful that I get to even do it. Like, I already feel like that's the win, is that I get to play this lead at this point in my career, at this point in my life on a TV show that people are watching, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, like 11 million people watch this show every week. It's stunning to me. I've been on shows where it's just a little more niche, and so to have this amount of people checking in and the diversity of our audience too. We've got families watch this. But then, one of my favorite social media tweets was from a drag queen who said, murder, she wrote, gays, Elsbeth is for us. So I'm like, when, people,
yeah,
and then everybody's mother likes our show. I mean, I've got so many people come up, oh my God, I love you. I love you. I love your show. My mom loves your show. My mom loves your show. So, and that's people of all ages. So listen, that's a win. And I'm grateful for that. I mean, would I be honored to be nominated for leading actress in a drama? Sure, that would be amazing. But I do feel, that that I did win an Emmy for it playing Elsbeth as a guest all those years ago. And so now I'm, winning by just doing it and walking in the footsteps of Juliana Margulies and Christine Baranski. That's a
I
win.
at all three of you, like amazing. I have to say to you though, Carrie, me and my husband very rarely get together and watch something the night it happens. And
Yeah.
Elsbeth, when we're home on Thursday nights, we get together and watch Elsbeth. And so much of it has to do with you and your performance. So I want to thank you for that
Thank you.
and wrap up by saying my final question to you is, do you have a little break now? And what are you going to do with it?
Yes. Yes, I am on hiatus right now. It's been lovely. I've been, getting a lot of sleep. I do a lot of hiking. I get out in nature. I'm taking care of, the doctoring and, the home stuff, all the things that I had to put off for 8 months while I was doing the show, and just getting myself ready, to dive back in because it does take it is a full-time commitment. I don't really have any time off when I'm working. And so I'm just being with my family and being with my friends, supporting other artists, going to shows, doing all that, and then
Nice.
doing press, talking about this show and, you know, happily, hopefully bringing more people to see it if they haven't already.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's such a gem. And I
Thank
hope it
you.
goes on as long as you want it to go on.
I'll do it as long as they want me to do it. That's what I'll say. As long as they'll have me, I'll be there.
Fantastic. Well, Carrie, thank you so much for taking the time out and enjoy your summer.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.